Hey guys, welcome to the live. I think it was last week we did one, right, Bev?
It was.
Yes, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute. Finally done those 12 to 8 shifts for a while. Oh, yeah. As soon as that clock hit 8, I was like, done. Anyways, you guys, so welcome to the live. Obviously, if you haven't hit that like and the share, please do so for Jack and Lily. They've been missing since May 2nd of 2025. And guess what? We're almost at 4 months. Isn't that crazy? That's like ridiculous.
It's insane.
But, I mean, I know there's a lot of cases out there, like, you know, that are so much longer. But you know what's cool? I want to say what's cool is that with the DNA and all the testing and stuff like that, cases that get solved from 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and stuff like that, when they come back to that stuff, I think that is the technology advances. It's crazy cool that some of these cases that you didn't think would be solved end up getting solved because of, you know, the DNA testing and stuff like that now. And especially with the, like the family DNA, like in the Koberger case. Sucks to be that, dude.
You don't even need your DNA. You go on Ancestry.com and solve it like that.
But you're allowed to leave your DNA on the like button. That's okay. Anyways, so Bev's here, you guys. And Bev, just introduce yourself again. And I know that you're going to be transitioning roles right quick here if you coming up, isn't it? But go ahead, Bev.
So I am Bev. I am a lawyer in the UK. I have 26 or so years of experience in this. I know that I don't look that old, but I do. I am not old. I feel that old. So I have a background in criminal defence work, prosecutions, and more recently as a child protection prosecutor for a local authority. So looking at like children's services cases, child protective services cases. I'm now actually moving back into the world of crime. So I'm going to be a senior Crown prosecutor in the northwest region of England. So that will be from the 17th of September. And I'm currently just really enjoying a nice little gap between the two, because I don't think I've ever had a gap between jobs. And it's like being on holiday, but without that pressure of knowing what's happening to your cases while you're not there.
Yeah.
So it's like holiday, but with extra relaxation. Unless you hurt yourself like I did this week, and then you don't get to relax very much.
Oh, I know.
Because you're an idiot and you fall off your own horse.
Without sounding too
harsh. Still.
Without sounding too harsh, Bev, because you've told me a few stories now, I think that you're like maybe a walking klutz.
I am the biggest, clumsiest klutz ever. So I've got dyspraxia. My son's got dyspraxia. We're both as bad as each other. But literally, it was like, it's usually my brain goes, do this, not this, when this one over here is the right thing to do. So I got on my horse. I went through a gate. I kept hold of the gate. The horse stepped a bit too far away. I didn't let go of the gate and keep hold of the horse. I kept hold of the gate and let go of the horse and slid off. Bareback, so she was very slippy. I blame that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hurt myself. I landed with the right stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
like
too old.
I feel like the gate attacked you. It wasn't really your fault. Yeah.
I'm just too old for falling off anything of a height.
I know.
And Honey just looked at me it was like she was rolling her eyes at me. Just looked down at me and looked and was, God, why have I got to have this one as my human?
Thanks, Bev. Anyways, you guys, Bev's channel is I just had it up there right here. Crime Courtroom Confidential. Again, she's been following Jack and Lily's case As she said, she was a defense lawyer, child protection lawyer here. So she's been, you know, very good with a lot of the information. But if you guys would like to go over there and sub up, she could really use the support on her channel. She's really good.
Certainly good.
I really appreciate always your kindness and joining again on this live. Obviously, you guys, Jack and Lily, still has no resolution. There's been a lot of stuff going on with documents and, well, just a lot of stuff with documents, really, and stuff coming out. And then I don't really want to entertain this myself, but I want to ask your opinion. But before we do that, don't forget, you guys have, I'll give you guys till September 2nd to send me any of your rocks to go for the video, any of your, say, art that you've done. So that's the deadline is September 2nd. Okay. And then I'm going to work on it when the long week, like my long weekend, even though it's a long weekend this weekend, mine, because I work, mine is actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday next. So that's when I'll work on the video for Jack and Lily, the one that's by Russell McDonald called Where is Jack and Lily? So again, September 2nd, you guys, whoever wants to send something for that video, just know it's a piece of you that will always be out there that you've done and that you've created. So blessed to everyone that's been following this case that really truly cares about Jack and Lily and wants answers. And sadly, again, it's to me, I just want, like, my easiest way to sum up this case is what a joke. No, what an effing joke, I would say. I really hate following cases. I mean, I enjoy the fact of trying to put puzzle pieces together, because that's what you try to do to create a timeline, right? To understand something when something is hard to understand. And in this case, to me personally, when lying is happening, this is exactly what's happening, and it becomes a joke. All you want is for the two people that were in charge of Jack and Lily, quit your bullshitting, quit your antics, quit your, BS, quit hiding and acting like I don't care if I waited for 2.5 months to speak Malaya, right? These are your children, your biological children. And what the heck is she doing? She ain't doing shit all in my eyes, okay? Not as a mother. As a mother, I'm pissed at what I'm watching. I don't make excuses for like bad behavior or like antics and stuff like this. These are your children. Daniel and you were in charge of these children. You were guilty of letting something happen to these children or a part of it, one of the two, and it's just sickening myself how I feel about this case. I do feel like you're getting kind of frustrated, Bev, and you guys out there.
Very. Really frustrated, and in some respects I can pull back from Malaya being quiet in the media and say, okay, she's not out there doing lots of media, but we also don't see anything demonstrating that she's actually searching or finding things to do that might help with the search, or asking relatives to do, because I can't face doing the press interview. Can somebody else do it on my behalf, my mum or whoever? We don't see any of that, and that's the bit that really gets to me.
As a mother, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just unfathomable and unthinkable to watch this, because whether the children are alive or not alive, at the end of the day, you're going to sit there and take every opportunity for your children to sit there and ask for the help of the public. And then you have, by the same token, right, you have Janie and Daniel, right? And of course, and just so you know, like Drunk Turkey Show, Daniel, he's going to be doing a live. I know not through Daniel from Drunk Turkey Show, but I know that through somebody else, Daniel from Drunk Turkey Show was sent the documents on a video thing, and Daniel has sent it out to a couple of people. So just so you know, for Drunk Turkey Show tonight, you guys, he's going to be going over some of those as best as he can make them out, because they were sent not by actual documents. But anyways, so just so you know that, okay? But so, yeah, so I mean, I would love to see these documents too.
I really, really would. And I'd love to be able to get them in this gap between this job and the next job and really pour through them and kind of
Yes.
treat it as though I'm prepping a case to see what I can make out from them.
Yeah.
Because what we have is 6 different news outlets versions of what's in them and what they think is important. And for all we know, because
Thank
I know
you.
that this does sometimes happen, the RCMP have said to the news outlets, can you help us? Can you do us a solid and just put out this elements of the information, please, in whatever format you want?
Yeah. So basically they wanted them sealed, the documents, the RCMP, but because of the Constitution of Rights, of course, they allowed certain information to be public. So we'll see how that goes with that. But anyways, what the difference between the, like you said, like media and true crime community is that we know like this channel and others, we know every aspect of this case with the stuff that they don't see. So we know in those documents, if we see something that's off because of every detail that we know of what, Daniel and, what Janie has said, well, what anyone has said, to be honest with you. So, that's why. So keep trying to get them. We'll see. At the end of the day, like we have the basic news ones, articles, or sorry, kind of like, yeah, the article. But yeah, so that's the difference here, right? Is that there's stuff that we know beyond the news. And so they'll report what's in, of course, there, but we got stuff to go behind it. Now, to me, what I was going to ask you, actually, you guys, who here, just to ask you, and I'll look at the poll in a minute. Okay, so I'll just start off the bat with this Natasha Hayward. First of all, I'm still amazed that they actually put her name out there. Hi, Natasha Hayward, if you're ever out there. Sucks to be you that you got called out through the news, but hey, is what it is, eh? But anyways, I don't even put any thought or credibility after I've already thought about it. It has no bearing to me whatsoever. I feel like it's a pointless, useless, someone that sends in a tip on May 31st, yet they disappeared on May 2nd. I just find it a big crock of crap myself, and I'm not even entertaining it as anything, to be honest. What do you think?
It's not even that makes me dismiss it.
Yeah.
After May 31st, the RCMP have come out and said they do not have any evidence of an abduction.
Right.
That means they've looked at that tip and either found out that it was a crock of shit, or they have discounted it as a proper tip given in by someone who thinks that they've seen something, but they've discounted that it is actually Lily and Jack. So they're the only 2 options, because if it was Lily and Jack, the first thing the RCMP would be doing is coming online and saying, everybody look out for a gold tan sedan with a woman in her 50s with curly hair.
Correct. Now, just quickly, Charmaine, she won't be here for a couple weeks, guys. She's on her drive-by. Sorry, Charmaine, you guys can't and whatever. I haven't looked at anything this morning at all. But I know that,
Charmaine is just saying in the chat, though, that apparently the polygraph questions weren't redacted in the actual documents. So we might find out what the questions were. That would be good.
I can't. Okay, but maybe I don't like. We've all been told that they were redacted, so maybe they weren't. Maybe we're being lied to on this one.
Or maybe we're not being lied to, but it's
Oh,
like any big authority that tries to redact loads and loads of documents, and they think
right.
that they've got every single version of
Oh
where it
yeah.
says it, but they haven't. There's a
Uh-huh.
bit where you've missed it.
Yeah. That happened in Delphi. They totally put everyone's names in there, and then they redacted it. Too late. I already had them, you know. But yeah, that's happened multiple times. When see in the United States, you guys, you just got to call the courthouse, you know, say please send me these documents. Thank you. Have a good day. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Canada, kiss my butt, Canada. You suck at this stuff. You know, honestly, the transparency of pedos, um, First Amendment, you know, the rights of Constitution there and whatever you want to call it, whatever is it called the Constitution here too? I don't even know. I'm so used to the United States all the time. Like for the most part, that's mostly what I've covered is a lot of cases out of the United States. But to get documents is just like, thank you. Right here, it's like, how am I going to get those 500 pages of documents, heavily redacted in certain things?
The
By
same
the
as
way,
in the UK. We're very lacking in transparency
uh
in terms of court documents. But it's a very, very difficult task. I don't envy anybody who sits there with a whole wad of papers and has to redact
I
lots of
know.
different
Yeah,
material from it, because it's a really, really difficult, mind-numbing task,
I
which
was going to
means
say
you're more likely to make errors.
because especially because you have to not only you have to redact, but you have to be like certain of what you're redacting. Like, you know, you
Mhm.
have to have the knowledge of exactly what needs to be redacted and stuff like
Yeah.
that on there. Hey Jess. High support with Steffa. Okay, so now Daniel, and I'll just put it this way because this is what it reminds me of. So basically, after the one article came out, you know, with the 4 polygraph questions, blah 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 blah, I could tell right away, and this is just my own personal assessment myself. And maybe for like honestly, maybe for good reason. You know, Daniel to me, regardless, he's been totally inconsistent, in fact, lied and stuff like that. I'm just wondering how many times somebody can keep saying crying wolf, and then when you just stop believing somebody. But, you know, for him, it reminded me, okay, so Daniel, Daniel, you guys, you and Janie, you guys need to get your priorities straight, right? It's not about you guys, it's about Jack and Lily. And all you guys seem to want to keep doing is sending people information to other channels of who's going to listen to you guys. And yet it's about Jack and Lily. Like they're like even Janie's interview wasn't about Jack and Lily. It was, well, I just wanted to bring you out to the property so I could show you, you know, all these things that aren't, you know, exactly what happened and stuff like that. Now, have but you don't really hear this big outcry, and this is for Malaya too, for Jack and Lily. And I really find it pukable, offensive that these people keep focusing on themselves instead of 2 children that are blatantly missing. Now, so what I was going to say was to me, it's like when this thing article came out, right, and it said Malaya took a polygraph. It basically said that there was 6 people that took polygraphs. Cody, which is Belinda's son, was one. Then there was Cindy. Janie couldn't take one because she's whatever she is.
Well, she
Um,
took it and then they couldn't report on it, which I think is
right,
interesting, because normally they do all the testing first
right.
and then decide whether to go ahead. So what part of the testing showed that she could do it, but then she couldn't?
Oh, that's what it's called, Charter of Rights. Charmaine, you guys has done a ton of coverage in Canada. So whereas I've been more in the States, so Charmaine is a wealth of information. So always respect with Charmaine because there's a lot of people that really, you know, enjoy Charmaine when she's on and stuff like that. She has a good grasp of a lot of bit of knowledge, right? So she's on her, like I said, so it sucks to be you guys because she's on her way. She's left us for 2 weeks, eh? Yeah.
2 whole weeks.
Yeah, she said that the money was too good, that she couldn't turn it down. that she's back in Alberta for a couple weeks. That's what it was like, Jack and Lily. Yeah, money. That's what I heard. No Tinkerbell, no Tinkerbell. but I feel like Daniel like walked out kind of like all of a sudden he got his chest all built up and like let's see what other person wants to listen to me and right. So obviously Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show has done a few lives and it's just for the fact of watching them like here let me speak to Hidden in the Fog a little bit. But I am glad that Daniel, the Drunk Turkey Show, like he's a really great guy for anyone, again, that doesn't know who he is. So again, he'll be covering some of the documents and going through some of the stuff tonight on his live, you guys. So make sure if you're not subscribed to the Drunk Turkey Show, again. So, if that's Daniel's and Janie's outlet and stuff like that, so be it, right? Again, I'm just want answers for Jack and Lily, and I don't care where the information comes from. I just want answers like most people. But did you feel a sense of Daniel, I'm just gonna keep saying how innocent I am of all my inconsistencies. But it's the fact that it's not really overly about Jack and Lily by a long
I don't think he's ever gonna stop speaking.
No.
But he will go round and find who he thinks might believe him. Because
Yes.
that's the personality type of somebody like Daniel.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, I don't really care as long as he carries on speaking, because the more he speaks, the more likely he is to say something that he's not supposed to.
Well, that's right.
So I don't mind. Talk wherever you want, Daniel. Just please keep speaking.
Well, it would be nice if Malaya did too.
It'd be nice if Malaya did too, because they completely contradict each other over and over again. So I've been working a little bit on the not so very much timeline. Today, after I'd kind of recovered from my migraine, I've spent an hour or so just looking at it and seeing if I can add a bit of extra into it. And they just like blatantly contradict each other over and over again. So not only does Daniel contradict himself, Daniel contradicts Janie, Andy contradicts Malaya, and Janie contradicts the world. So
I mean, Bev has this, you guys, like she says, it's all on spreadsheets. I'm not a spreadsheet person myself.
Well, I've got two different things. I've got a timeline, which is not on a spreadsheet. I have it on OneNote, and it's literally just a table. And it goes through day by day with all the different time frames, what we know and who we know it from. And then I've got a bit that I put my thoughts in if I'm at that point on that section. But the spreadsheet is breaking it down into areas of discussion and who has said what, and literally like interview by interview by interview by interview. So Daniel's got many, many columns.
I was going to say, and Adventures Underwater UK, I've noticed you've been making a bunch of videos, with like Darren stuff and him talking on like this channel.
Very useful. Very useful. Adventures Underwater UK, to be able to just grab the bit that you want.
Right. Which is right. Thank you actually for that, because even me, it's like mine are all over that. I mean, I do have 2 actual conversations with Darren still. And a couple people have those, including RCMP. But anyways, but I'm gonna have to go back and listen to those again. Now like I said, Darren, what do I say about Darren, really, to be honest with you? Because it's like he's like an octopus, he's just freaking everywhere. And he did cause a shitstorm. So I can't knock that, right? because it did create people to start talking. And even,
Yeah,
in fact,
it
Malaya,
made people speak, and it made people delve into things. I don't believe a blind bit of anything that he says in terms of what happened to these kids. But it's interesting, some of the things that he said, I noticed when I was trying to look at it the other day.
and I'm still here, but I'm just off my camera for a sec.
And some of the little bits of information that I don't think he's realised that he's saying it around Daniel and Malaya's relationship, or Daniel's drug use, is really interesting to go back and listen to now. Now we've got much more information. So I am going to look at them in a bit more detail again, but that was just me pulling the transcripts off Underwater Adventures UK to put in my list, because I was struggling to find everywhere that he'd spoken.
Well, I was going to say, well, hi, Daleen. I was just going to quickly say, guys, so this is the bench. It should be there today, I think, in Nova Scotia. This will be going to the school. I'm not exactly sure. I just seen Charmaine say like that it is going to the school. It will get a nice plaque across it. I'm really, from the last live, right? At first I was like, well, no, right? But honestly, then after I got off the live and I started thinking about the bench myself, and I said to Charmaine, you know what? I think Ian was right. Like, this bench is meant for the school, for Jack and Lily. And even if they put a plaque over top of Jack and Lily, which they will, and it will be called Buddy Bench, their names are still there regardless.
Yeah,
right?
of course they are. They're still there underneath. We know they're there, and we've seen what it looks like. So
yeah. So Charmaine, if you want to watch and expand on that while you're here, go feel free on that one. But I wanted to go quickly back to let's see here.
While we're talking about the bench, though, Sonny, I want to say, because I don't think I have said it apart from maybe in a comment here and there on the lives, Charmaine, I just, my hands go off, my hat goes off to you, because you've done a wonderful, wonderful job on it. You know, both of you have, and it's beautiful, and it's an amazing thing to do. And the fact that you've pulled off getting it from you to the school is pretty impressive.
Yes. With the help of others, generosity. There's this, I think it was Sky Painter was the one that was helping with the shipping, and then took on the cost of that. Kent, and then I'm not sure, I can't remember the lady's name. Anyways, there's a bunch of people that have done some wonderful, wonderful things for Jack and Lily. But yes, but big kudos to Charmaine and Ian for spending their money to make this, first of all, and then engraving it, Charmaine, because the engraver, things happen for a reason. So screw you, engraver person that was supposed to do it. This literally has all of Charmaine and Ian on it, and it's for Jack and Lily. It's for the school. They will get it, and hopefully they'll decorate it up and do stuff like that. So, beyond wanting the juice and the gossip, okay, like, this is what makes my heart big, but yet by the same token pissed off, because the true crime community is doing so much more than the
family,
excluding Belindens, a couple of others, to be honest, are doing so much more for Jack and Lily than a lot of the family members that should be doing this are. Like, this is beautiful, you guys. I just want to say that the way that people can come together and do something and work together for the better of the good, that always fills my heart. Like I said, I've been in customer service hospitality for 40 years. It's always been my thing that, people in general, but animals and children are my sore spot when it comes to hurting them, or anything like the Emmanuel Harrow case. Just devastating, devastating seeing the sister that got abused and the judge let him off, whatever. But then now, trying to find him. It's devastating beyond repair. I take it personally when it comes to the neglect, abuse of children or animals. They are innocent, right? They don't have voices. And, my heart is never ending full of love, for especially children and pets that don't have a voice. So we're their voice. And that's what will continue to be the voices for Jack and Lily, and the family members that should be out here doing it. Again, I want to say shame on you. Shame on you. These children belong to your families, not ours, right? And yet we're out here constantly talking about it, bringing awareness to it. Lots of channels are, more so now that some, which is what we want. And yeah, Daniel, keep talking, dude. If you have to suck people's butts and stuff, whatever, that, or, I shouldn't say that really. There's people out there that do believe, say, in Daniel, what I can't stand is how he's represented himself as just like Malaya. I want to say the both for same of them, how they've represented themselves in the fact of these two children that were missing underneath their care. It's an absolute nightmare for the family members that truly want answers, to have to watch them each and every day, wake up, want answers, and stuff like that. But the people that should be doing this should be at the forefront of the media, asking for the assistance of everyone's help to locate Jack and Lily, regardless if they're past or if they're still here. Everyone, the family members should be at the forefront. Keep, all I have to do is go to Dylan Round's family, Gabby Petito's, on and on. That's what you talk about when you want to talk about a true case with genuine parents and genuine people that love their children and want to see that no matter what, nothing is going to hold them back. Nothing is going to stop them. They'll fight tooth and nail. They'll sit on freaking YouTube channels, news stations all day long. But that's not what we're seeing here. And that to me is so despicably disgusting, right? It just is. I can't even, right? Belinda wakes up every day to this nightmare that's going on online, and again, has a hard time sleeping. And Belinda's, by the way, she's on a trip, a few day trips off there. So Belinda, you take care and have a safe trip as well. For everyone, that's because it's a long weekend and everything like that. But okay, so Bev, I do have like those 5 documents about like kind of like the news station stuff. Is there anything? I mean, honestly, you guys, it's been a week. Okay, I gotta let some of this steam out. My shifts next week are 6 to 2, so thankfully I can do some lives regularly again. But I only got 1 week because the week that I worked last week was actually a 6 to 2 shift week. I'm just was, saying, yeah, when your head's going, no, but your mouth is like, yeah, no problem, Oh, there's
Yep.
Belinda on there. So yeah, so Belinda really needs
Hi,
some.
Belinda.
Yeah, this has been almost 4 months. This has been almost 4 months. And that's crazy.
And it's heartbreaking that it's that amount of time and there's no end in sight. Unless the RCMP know something in the period between the 16th of July or so and now that they don't want us digging into, it doesn't look like there's any end in sight. And that...
There is.
There is?
Yeah, because we say there is. Yeah. The glass is half full.
I hope there is. I hope there is.
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
It concerns me that they're playing a game of smoke and mirrors.
Yes. I mean, like I said, you're a child protection lawyer. You see cases like this all day long of, neglect and blah, blah, blah. And your gut feeling, Bev, your own personal gut feeling, in your opinion, is telling you what about this case and where the responsibility may lie the most, if you want to say.
So, having looked at everything that has come out, and I always try and keep an open mind for as long as I can, so I didn't make any rash decisions. I knew there were red flags about Malaya's interview. I knew there were red flags when Daniel started speaking. But I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt for as long as I can.
Did. Mm-hmm.
But, and there is a big but, when you see a story which is quite clearly originating as a script, even though it's changed so dramatically that it doesn't even remotely resemble the script anymore. And people can't get very, very simple facts right so that they match each other or what they said last week, then that only leads me in one direction, and that is that they're covering something up.
That's how I see it. Absolutely. It's not, and again, it's not like I'm not willing to change my mind. Like, I'm always thinking about this case. Like, I'm not sure about your brain, but my brain does not stop thinking about this case. So the only time it does is when I'm like, when I have to, of course, work, right? But even, during my thoughts, when I have a moment, I'm just trying to always put all the information that I do have in my head, right? And I'm trying to make just sense of it. And honestly, and Daniel, be proud that you guys have just created a monstrous manure pile for everybody.
Yeah, you can't make sense of it. So one thing I'll say is that over the last couple of days, I've seen a few creators trying to put to one side any preconceptions, any ideas that you've got and beliefs about what happened, and let's try and make sense of this timeline. And in order to do that, they've had to make huge leaps of faith and just add information in. And we can't add the information in because that totally goes against any version of a balanced way of following what the evidence is. The evidence that we have, because we don't have the evidence that police have got, is what people are saying who were involved in one way or another. And you cannot make sense of it. So do you want me to give a couple of examples?
Yep. Just let me say thank you, Rosie and Cheryl. Cheryl, you got that membership from Rosie. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate. Go ahead.
So, a couple of examples. We've got really simple one. Malaya, in her statements to the police, talks about the visit to Patty's on Wednesday, doesn't mention anything about a Tonka truck incident. Now, that is key information because at the point that she's given that initial statement, we're talking about what are we looking for? We're looking for a child. Describe her to me. Well, she's got a black eye. That would be a good start, wouldn't it? Because that's quite an unusual thing for a girl to have. So that would have been a really useful descriptor, regardless of how it happened. Daniel doesn't mention it at all to the police, and neither does she. Or at least they're both on the same lines there, to be fair. About the only time I think that they've said the same thing. But then we've got, so let's talk about bedtime.
Yeah.
we've got Malaya texts Belinda that she put the children to bed at 8 o'clock. And Daniel also says he came in from working on the fence at around 8 and the kids were already in bed.
Text
He says that
Belinda.
in FB messages, and he said it to Kent.
Just one. Oh, she didn't. She texted me.
Oh, was that in your to you?
Yeah, that was. God, I
That's
was
me
going to say.
writing it wrong. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
make sure you put Sunny on that one because that was the conversation. Because I was going to say Belinda never got a text message saying that.
Right,
But she did say that in mine, like set between 7 and 8, right? The 9,
and
then
then
10.
9 o'clock is when she first tells the police. She gets the children ready for bed. I don't think it specifically says puts them to bed. It says gets them ready for bed. But she doesn't go on to say, and they went to bed at such a time. So you can assume that the police will think they went to bed at 9 o'clock. And then in a later interview with the police, she says they went to bed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we've got one person there giving 3 different bedtimes to 3 different sets of people.
Right. Who's messaging me?
And Daniel only matches one of them. Well, he doesn't even match Malaya's if you think about the fact that if she's putting them to bed at 8, he'd have come in and seen her putting them to bed, not they were already in bed. So what time did they go to bed? We have absolutely no idea. We've got Daniel saying that he popped in his head in the kids' room at midnight to check on them and flicked on the light. I still have a question about who flicks on a light when you put your head into a child's room, because all you're going to do is wake them up. But then we've also got Malaya saying she was woken up around midnight, although we don't know exactly what she said because this is the one to Lana King and it was verbal and wasn't recorded. And that Daniel stayed up all night. And then let's have a look. Another good one.
I got a couple myself.
So the most important element of this is who saw the kids last. And it ranges anywhere from 8 o'clock to sometime after 9, depending on who you speak to and when. So we've got radio chat between officers where it says they were in the bedroom at 8 o'clock this morning, haven't been seen since then.
Yep.
Then we've got Malaya also saying between 8 and 8:30, she heard the children playing in the next room. Then in the court documents, in the statement she gave to the police, it was they left the house somewhere between 8 and 9:40. So that feeds into they were last seen at or heard at 8 o'clock. Daniel says he's not clear on a time, but that Lily popped her head in. And then we've got Janie who says at 8:48, a brother rang. It was at 9 o'clock she heard the children outside or around about then. And about 10 minutes later, she heard Daniel yelling. So that would narrow down when they may have been heard inside the trailer to before 9 o'clock. But some of these statements were given to the police long after. So if they'd spoken amongst themselves on the morning, even after the first report was made, the later statements to the police wouldn't still say any time up to 9:40. And then another one that kind of really baffled me was, so Malaya says they left the house between 8 and 9:40, but that she woke Daniel up at 9:30 to tell him that they were gone.
Yeah.
So you woke him up 10 minutes before your time frame for them getting out of the house.
Let me add to that one, because this is a clip that I'm going to play. So Daniel, multiple versions, but Daniel says that they came outside, right? And was yelling for Lily and Jack, right? He said he took 30 seconds to run up into the woods. And when he came back, Malaya was on the phone calling 911. Well, she was calling 911 at 10:01. So that means exactly, so 10 o'clock then he was running up there. And then Janie says, well, I was in the camper, or, you know, like I heard Daniel yelling, but I didn't come out for 10 minutes, right? So then now you're putting that at 10:10. You know, and then all of a sudden she comes out, and like I said, and then Malaya's, obviously when she comes out, Malaya's off in the driveway holding Willow at the hip. So even that so again, using their own words. And
Daniel has also referenced 9:45 of him running back down and Malaya being on the phone to 911, which clearly isn't accurate.
Well, now I do say that Kent was having a conversation with Daniel, and Daniel said, I wouldn't believe it unless you've seen a screenshot. More like, well, we got the screenshot of 10:01.
There is a screenshot. Yeah.
So he did. I mean, again, we take Daniel's words with a grain of salt. Daniel did think it was earlier than that. That's why him and Kent kind of had this back and forth conversation. And it's like, well, dude, I mean, we literally have the 10:01 time frame. But again,
then if he's wrong about something where we know he's absolutely wrong because we've seen the screenshot and we've now got the RCMP documents that confirm when the call came in.
Yeah. You guys,
why in Lord's name would we take his word for any other time?
Well, that's just it. I know, right?
It's just 12 minutes that he was adamant it took the RCMP to arrive. It's 26 minutes, which is over double.
Just quickly, Daniel from Drunk Turkey Shows in the house. Don't forget, you guys, like I said, he's doing a live tonight. He has some the documents and stuff that he's going to be going through tonight. Let's see. Hope everyone is doing well when it comes to those times. I find it hard that they are accurate, not because of nefarious reason, but because who keeps track of time like that? Well, actually, my thing about that is this. My thing about that is this. How many times, though, in a timeline can you keep finding so many multiple inconsistencies, right?
It's not about them being inaccurate about times, because I agree not everybody keeps track of every second of every day.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that they literally contradict each other, and two things cannot be true at once.
Yeah.
And they contradict themselves. And you can't say two things that contradict each other and then be accurate. So the way that the confusion comes isn't, to me, a vagueness because of memories, memories decaying, or you ask 3 witnesses to give you a version of events, they'll all say they saw something different. I understand that. I completely understand that, but they are not usually like in blinding contradiction to each other. And in terms of the bits, for example, like I woke up and I heard that the children weren't missing. Heard the children weren't missing. That's not a right phrase, is it?
Hey?
If you wake up and you hear that the children are no longer playing,
I
don't know, I might be the only person who does this, but every time I open my eyes, the first thing I do is pick my phone up and look at the time. If I've been asleep, that is literally what I do every single time without
I do the
fail.
same thing, actually.
I literally go, all right, okay, I've got
Well-
another 3 minutes and 33 seconds before I've got to get up, and I'm on the very deadline of when I can get ready to get to work. To not know the time that you awoke, for me, bothers me. And as soon as you realise that you are in the situation that they were in, you should have been paying attention to the time frames. But it's not just those inconsistencies around times. So we've got Daniel says he wakes Malaya up to claim that he can't hear the children anymore. We need to go look for them. And Malaya says, I woke Daniel up to say that I can't hear the children anymore. Can you? Well, you can't both have woken each other up.
And they've done this multiple times.
And it's not just that one example. So I'm giving that as like a really obvious example, but there are lots of occasions that they've done that. So for me, Daniel, I completely appreciate your input. And, you know, it's good to have lots of inquisitive, analytical minds looking at it. And I haven't come to the conclusions that I've come to quickly or by being offhand about it. I've got spreadsheets on spreadsheets on spreadsheets. I've tried to treat it, albeit not with the same amount of time given to it, because I have been working until very recently. I've been trying to treat it like a case that I'm preparing for court. Of course, that would be a lot easier if I had the actual statements that they gave to the police and the other documents that give the statements that other people have given. But neither of them talk about Janie hearing the children playing until Janie comes out and says it.
Yeah.
That's the first time we heard about that.
Unless it's in the documents. I don't know.
And that's a key part of the timeline, if it's true. So as the parent, you would be saying, and I spoke to my mother, or I spoke to my mother-in-law, and she said she heard them at X time.
They didn't even go to the trailer, Bev. There's nothing about the fact that they basically come out. There's nothing that we've seen about.
I'll give them one thing. They may already have known that the children wouldn't be in the trailer because she kept the dog away from them.
But they would have said, like, Mom.
What they might have said, especially given that we now know that they relied on Janie to tell them when the kids had got out in the mornings, they would go and say, have you seen them? Have you heard them?
Yeah.
And that didn't feed into any of the stories.
She didn't get her butt out of the trailer till 10 minutes later, because she just thought for 10 minutes that he was just calling them in. It's ridiculous. It's still ridiculous. And then again, Bev, just to go here too, right? And I'm gonna play the clip to this. So Janie says, I don't know what time the police arrived. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna play the video, because when you actually listen to that part, like, and I'm just talking about, again, I want to say this explicitly again. This is not about, I want to pick on Daniel and Janie. Well, sometimes I do, just for their own stupidity, to be honest with you. And for Malaya, so it's one of those things. I just want answers for Jack and Lily. Like, honestly, Daniel and his BS and stuff like that. Again, if he's culpable of anything, may freaking Satan poke you with his fucking fork and sit there and pull you down underneath. If you're not, then you know what? You sure did a shitty job of trying to prove that you were freaking innocent of anything with all your inconsistency. Malaya, again, you're an embarrassment to me personally as a mother by your actions. I don't give a shit what you say. If your children are alive or dead, You know, a mother doesn't sit there and hide and not come out and ask the public for help. It's just not how it's done. So unless there's that alternative reason, but even then, that doesn't make sense, because the police would want you to ask for help, right? They would want you to come to the public and say, hey, look, you know what, Malaya, get off your tuffy. These are your kids. We're doing our jobs here, or trying to do our jobs here. You know, what the hell are you doing? Sitting there going,
even if it's only on a formal thing with the RCMP there. So we often see that, don't we? We see press releases where the police are there, or the RCMP, and the parent is there, and they get the parent up and they say, well, please help us find my child, or children in this case.
Yeah. And as for Janie, like I said, you know, Charmaine brought this up, right? Oh, Janie, hey, Janie, don't you go freaking shopping every Friday with your brother? You know, the brother that called you at 8:48 to ask you to go shopping. And on this day that Jack and Lily go missing, your ass doesn't want to go shopping suddenly either. Right. So it's just all these weird.
And there's lots of those. So yeah. She didn't want to go shopping. She always goes.
She didn't get up.
She's always the person who spots that the children have got out and rings Malaya. But even though she heard them in the yard, she didn't ring Malaya that particular day. So there's lots of things that are out of the ordinary that day. And that's one of the things that, as an investigator or as a lawyer looking at it later down the line, we're looking for. It's things that break the normal pattern.
Yeah.
And things that just don't look right.
Well, that's just it. If it smells like shit, it's because it's shit. You know, you can't sit there and make it smell like roses. And that's the point of this, right? Is that beyond the inconsistencies and the lies and the absolute contradictories to themselves, right? Again, you can't make this shit up. They're doing it to themselves. And so what are we supposed to do? Go, oh, you know what? Here's another pass. Yeah, you know what? Just like this one right in front of you. Jane. So in the interview, Janie says, and it's weird how she does it actually. When you actually watch it again, it's actually quite strange. It actually reminds you of like someone being on script as well. But anyways, so Janie says, I don't know what time the police arrived. I didn't take my phone police arrived at like 10:26 or 10:27. But her phone call audio call, right? She didn't take her phone, but the audio calls for 10:19. Again, there's just another discrepancy of somebody that didn't take their phone. Now, let me play that clip though. Okay. So Janie, you obviously had your phone before the police arrived. Did you forget that too? Along with the fact you forgot to call Malaya, along with the fact that you didn't go shopping with your brother and stuff like that. Like, I don't like, seriously, like it's just that it just stands out, all of the stuff. It's not like little things that you just go, okay, yeah, like there's are things that you just go, okay, I can understand where that one was maybe, you know, how Daniel said something where maybe, you know, he said it a couple different ways and you kind of give slack on certain things. But this to me is like giving like a huge pile of manure slack on this because.
Yeah, I think so. Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show has just put in the chat. So don't Ellie have their phones? How does being inaccurate by a few minutes on when the call went out and when Ellie arrived is bad? I'm not connecting the dots on this one to showing criminal intent. And Ellie have this. Right, okay, so I'm not saying, and I have never said, that being out by a few minutes equals criminal intent. What I said was that the whole picture of the number and breadth of inconsistencies, and not just inconsistencies, but direct contradictions that are exhibited in everybody's stories across the board lead me to believe that they are covering something up. Never said that leads me to have evidence that they have criminal intent. So don't misconstrue what I have said, because I have never said that. I will say what my opinion is about what I think probably happened, but I will never say that there is evidence in that there is criminal intent, because that's a different thing. If there was actual evidence available of criminal intent, the RCMP would have bloody well arrested them.
Yeah.
So we know that there isn't specific evidence of criminal intent, don't we? But that doesn't mean there wasn't criminal intent.
And they did say up until this, like, meaning that it's not like there couldn't be. It's just that those documents were to the 16th. But it's not like there couldn't be, but there's no evidence to support that at this time.
Yeah, I mean, there is a world of difference between us sitting here and saying, look, the material that they've put out as their stories to the public and the material that we've now got of their formal statements to the RCMP
Doesn't make it true.
to be full of holes and contradictions and inconsistencies. And all told, we think that the reality is that the children didn't wander off into the woods.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely, given the geography of the situation, which we know that someone, as an investigator looking at homicide cases and violent crimes and missing children, will look at the geography, the victimology, and the suspects in terms of their personalities and information that they provide. The geography does not lend itself to a stranger abduction. And the RCMP have made it clear there is no evidence that an abduction occurred. So it's okay us sitting here and saying, so based on that information and the contradictory statements that everybody keeps making and the ridiculous ways that they keep acting and the red flags that show up in their behaviour, in their statements, if you're into statement analysis, and I think all of these areas have a good bearing on coming to the truth of the matter.
What you got here is
you think that something happened
go ahead.
that was nefarious, and as a law enforcement officer, being able to actually get together enough evidence to arrest anybody or bring any charges. And I know I saw somebody kind of saying, well, why don't they just arrest them on neglect charges and keep them in prison until one of them speaks and cracks? And the answer is they wouldn't be able to question them about the disappearance and potential nefarious matters if they were being held in relation to neglect. Okay, so that's the reason.
I love
and they're more likely to do something that gives them information that they can act upon if they're out and watching them than if they're inside, sitting in a cell being quiet.
Mm-hmm. You know what I love about this, Bev? So Daniel, of course, used to be a police officer like 15, 20 years ago, right? And so obviously you've been a defense lawyer and you're a child protection lawyer, and you're going to be turning into a crown prosecutor on this. So I'm not going to lie, I enjoy debates like this.
So he wants to know how they've outsmarted the police. And the answer is, just because someone's not intelligent doesn't mean that they're not police street smart. And so there was a lot made by Durwood of the Mackenzies, the good old boys, everybody knows them, everybody fears them. Okay. That reputation comes from particular behaviour. And I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, that would demonstrate to me that it's a family who probably know quite a lot about how to evade detection, about in terms of what they're doing. And sometimes criminals get lucky. You don't always have to have blood when you unalive a child. And sometimes people get lucky in terms of
absolutely
to choose somewhere to hide. I mean, let's face it, Don and Candice Wells, they're not the brightest bulbs in the pack, but Have they ever found Summer? 5 years. Is it 5 years or 6 years?
I'm not even sure now. 5?
5 or 6 years. They never found
5?
them, but Don Wells in particular has got a very colourful police-related background. And so he'll know a lot about what he needs to do and not do to evade detection of what he's doing. I'm not going to sit here and say they absolutely did something nefarious 100%. That's just the conclusion that I've come to, is that they're full of rubbish. And one of them on that property probably knows what happened to these children, if not all of them.
Well, no offense, Daniel, but they said the same thing with Sebastian's case. Same thing. They're cooperating to the fullest. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I find that one.
They also left the home.
See?
Miraculously in the middle of the whole searching efforts, didn't they? For quite a period, just like Malaya has done.
Just quickly, Bev, Belinda says, Janie put herself as the last one to hear them, and a polygraph can't be done. I have a problem with that, she says. Don't you? I sure do too. It's like, really, Janie? What medical issues you got going on there that you can't take a polygraph on there? What do you think about that?
So I think I said earlier, and what baffles me about it is that usually when a polygraph is done, they do kind of a testing session first to, calibrate the machine, get a read on when someone's telling the truth or not telling the truth. And they ask you really silly things like, is your name Beverly? No. And they tell you to lie, even though you know it's true. And then they'll decide whether or not to go ahead with the test. But they actually did the test, and only after that realised that physiology doesn't allow for analysis. So that baffles me a little bit. But it's hard to say what that means and what weight you can give to the fact that they weren't able to do the analysis unless we can see the reasons why.
So they're both cooperating fully, right? But yet Jack and Lily disappeared underneath their watch. They've determined that there's no abduction that has gone on, because even Janie says, and pretty much they have all said, that they're not in the woods, right? They did an extensive search. They're not in the woods. So again, there's no scent past the end of the driveway, stuff like that. But yet again, there's inconsistencies. There's deliberate, all out just actually lying about the pink blanket. I don't really want to hear Daniel's excuses on that. He already told Darren why he lied and stuff like that. Clearly that blanket.
Yeah, so that isn't a confusion.
That's not a confusion.
So, for example, Daniel, this is a really good example of the contradictions. At the time that the RCMP came and asked them, is this Lily's blanket? Malaya said yes, and when they asked Daniel, he said no. It was only later down the line that he changed his mind and said yes, it's
right. And the reason
Lily's.
why is because he didn't want it to look like he planted. So are we supposed to give Daniel passes for every time he decides to say that, oh, you know what? Right. Malaya is the one that said that she heard the children. Oh, right. I had that wrong. 4 months later, this man has had time to sit there and think about all the crap that he wants to start interjecting in this. And again, it's not about Daniel or Janie. It's about what they're doing and what they're saying, and Malaya as well, how they're acting. This is not normal in any sense. So to me, and I know Daniel from the Introductory thinks, unless he's changed his mind, thinks that the kids perhaps had walked off. Explain again. You know what? Did someone
walked? I think what he said was walked off and then were picked up by people. But it's a very
there's no There's no sense.
small level of traffic on that road.
Yes.
And
Jamie said that.
that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just means it's less likely. So the geography of the area doesn't lend itself well to a stranger abduction.
Well, you know, again, you know, there's a lot of things here. You know, we got the vehicle approximately 6 times. Actually, before I get into that, so going back to the picture, the cell phone, right? Because so Janie in the interview, and the only reason why I put that on the picture was because Janie specifically said that, you know, that she had left her cell phone at home and that she didn't have it until like after like basically the cops arrived type of thing, right? And so it's like, no, Janie, obviously you were talking on it at 10:19 before they did, but to go with that, I just wanted to show this piece, let alone nice face, Jamie. Sorry, I paused
Jackie,
her on that.
let's go, Jackie. Let's go, Jackie.
Let's go, Jackie.
It's all I hear out here.
1 second.
When the kids get out of the fence and come out through here, I would have heard them yelling, "Come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go."
Pointing.
I didn't hear anything. The next thing I heard
Just 1 second.
is I heard Daniel yelling. He was yelling for Jack and Lily. I didn't get up because I thought he was yelling for Jack and Lily in the house. So the next thing you know, I came out of the trailer after I heard Daniel, about, I'd say 10 minutes after I heard him, I come out of the trailer. I opened up the door, was standing here. Malaya was standing.
Okay, first of all, I want to say this because, okay, this type of personality is like my grandma, okay? She's dead, by the way. My grandma was the one that would almost speak like this, but I wouldn't. And like she was, okay, Janie, you know every stinking thing that's going on in that property. Why? Because you're a hermit, like you said. And you said you can hear all the noises, right? Daniel claims that he's not even in a deep sleep. And she's like, and I can hear them from, you know, my window that's right there. Well, how about the freaking window that's right there where Daniel and Malay are sleeping? They don't, come on, you guys. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that 2 children got out of a sliding glass door, shut it on top of that. I'm sorry, I think I hear a little bit of my feedback coming through your thing. That they shut it, that children are not silent. They are not going out there going, he, let's just go sneak and play on the swings. Okay, children are not silent at all. So what do you mean, Daniel? You were barely sleeping and you couldn't hear the damn kids out the window yourself? I got to mute you for a second here, just because you're coming through my speaker, or I'm coming through your speaker, right? Kids are not silent. I call absolute BS. Janie says I can hear them. Well, her window is just as far as it is to the trailer. And how do you not hear 2 kids outside playing? They're not going to be silent. They're not going to be sitting there going, ooh, let's just hide on mom and, you know, daddy and stuff like that. And it's just a bunch of crap. That's not going to happen in real world, that 2 kids are going to open up a sliding door and then close it with the suction to it, because it's an old door, manage to go down that rapidy old thing that they fixed up called a porch, and then sit there and be ever so quiet. And then she says, Janie's like, but I would have heard. Jackie boy, come here. You know, and it's just ridiculous to think that these children were not heard at all playing outside, besides by Janie and Daniel, who's barely sleeping. They can't even tell the truth about really who saw or who heard the kids, who saw the kids. Even that's inconsistent. But anyways, sorry. 2 children do not sit there on our side.
Right here.
Playing. There's Darren.
With Meadow on her hip.
Yeah, with Meadow on her hip.
And I come out.
We're almost there.
And I said, what's up?
What's up?
She said, Jack and Lily are missing. I said, how long? She said, about 20 minutes. I closed the door, got my boots on, came out here, ran up in the woods.
Oh, contradictory here again, remember? Because, You know, I asked Malaya, what's wrong? Daniel claims that he told his mom, right, that the kids were missing. And then she goes up in the woods, but then don't forget, man, she stayed in that camper for 10 minutes. Ain't no shitting way she stayed in that camper for 10 minutes while her kids yelling. Okay, this lady ain't the type to sit there and not peek her nose out and go like, what's going on, Daniel? Let me help you put that blanket in the garbage can, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, remember I was there when you, and I told you, Daniel, don't stuff that garbage bag too full, Daniel. Okay, give me a break. Sorry, it's just my opinion, but I just call bullshit. That's how I see it. We spent 4 months watching this case, right? Watching all the antics going on, all the bullshit, all the BS. I'm over it. I'm honestly over it. With this whole making excuses for all these inconsistencies, these inaccuracies, these deliberate lies on purpose and stuff like that. And it's just like, just say where Jack and Lily are. How about you do that? How about you actually totally advocate for Jack and Lily instead of worrying about your own freaking, egos and what people are saying about you? Like I said, there's other cases besides your guys' all around the world, people. Okay? That sit there and they focus on the kids. They don't care what people are saying about them. Their focus is on the children. And that's what ticks me off here. Where is the fight for Jack and Lily, to be honest? Quit sitting there trying to justify your crap. What you've said, you've said. You can't take it back. Okay? So if you're culpable, like I said, then you're culpable. If you're not, doesn't matter. You still made yourself look like the guiltiest innocent person ever because of your own actions, not ours. We're just pointing them out. One second.
Right up here. The kids have a little fort that they made out of sticks and fir branches, and that's where they go. You can see them and hear them. We went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all that tree falls and bushes. I did this whole area. There's an old road up back.
Just 1 sec.
When I got up to the end, to the top of the hill, I met Daniel. And I said to him, I said, did you find them? He said, no. He said, you coming with me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to search this area. Because when she told me the kids were missing, you automatically think they went into the woods. That was my first instinct. Mm-hmm. So I went up and I did this whole area, this whole wooded area, right up to the top.
I want to get to the part that I want.
There was a bench sitting here, or a sawhorse, it's over there, was sitting here. I was sitting on it, bawling my eyes out.
Hold on. Bawling your eyes out. I want to get to the part.
The dirt road, came back down here.
Shit.
And came back down the side of the road, came back down here, and came back up the same spot. I went back into the house. By the time the cops were here.
Okay, right here.
I don't know exactly what time. I didn't take my phone. The cops were here.
Now, when I was listening to this personally, don't forget, Janie, we can show you your phone right again and show you that the cops weren't there when you had your phone. But she makes, for some reason, if you listen to this, it's like she's making a point of letting us know, though. Like, it's just weird, this whole little portion when you listen to it. So let me just go back on it for a second.
And came back down the side of the road, came back down here, and came back up the same spot. I went back into the house. By the time the cops were here, I don't know exactly what time. I didn't take my phone. The cops were here.
Okay. Now, could have just been simply editing, but bottom line is that it's all of a sudden she starts talking and then it's like, oh no, wait, hold on, I got to go back here. Yeah, before the cops were here, I didn't have my phone, but it was like she just like inserts that, and I'm just like, again, I'm like thinking to myself, well, obviously, Janie, you had your phone before the cops were there, but it's like someone integrating it in there, like, oh, I'm gonna say this. Oh wait, hold on, no. I went into the house. Oh, wait. Yeah, I didn't have my phone before the cops were here. Thank you. Thank you for that tidbit of information. I don't know. Like, when you kind of just are listening to it by yourself and then you hear it, it just sounded strange the way she worded it. She's about to say something. Go ahead. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry. I was unmuted on the screen, but I'd forgotten I'd pressed the button on my microphone itself. Right, so the way that Janie speaks and the way that Daniel speaks, they often will just like jump to say something that's obviously popped in their head.
Yes.
That's not related to what is being discussed, which I think sometimes does cause some significant confusion. Daniel has put in what his theory is. I'm just looking at what Belinda says. Was there when she refused to let them search Saturday. So I don't think he's talking about Janie refusing to let them search. I think so. What he says is at 9:17. The comment is, if you want to find it, Sonny. So my theory: there's a guy who lives in the area with a criminal record. Well, from the descriptions of people who were local, who were driving around the area, giving some kind of video footage of the area, that's not an unusual thing, that somebody in the area would have a criminal record.
Yeah.
Didn't allow law enforcement to search his property and lied about knowing the kids existed, even though his kids rode the same bus, I think. So this is the neighbour who told us about the drug party and I think is the same one that told us about the car coming and going. And there's clearly some kind of feud between the two families. That doesn't mean to say that you nick the kids. And surely if there was any concern about whether they were on that property, the RCMP would simply have got a search warrant and searched it regardless of whether he agreed, if they had something to point towards him. Janie didn't want them to search her trailer either. So if we're talking about not wanting Ellie to search your property being some indicator of involvement, then Janie's just as involved as the neighbour might be. And I don't think that's a sufficient indicator. It's a possibility, and I hope beyond all hope that the RCMP have looked into it properly, particularly if his offences have anything to do with children. But we've not heard anything that, or I certainly haven't, and Daniel, you've got copies of the documents as I understand it. We don't, so you might know something we don't here, but from what I understand, nobody's come out and said that there is a potential that this person is involved in the disappearance.
Well, yeah, that's just it. Okay, so I would say about 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, perhaps, that the house was always a confusion. Now then, Tint had sent me a screenshot, right, of actually where the house was, but it was one of those things where Daniel says what Daniel's words were back was, when I said, was it the house? And I'm talking about Daniel, not Daniel Drunk Turkey, Daniel Martell. And so hold on, let me just go in a little bit here. So basically there was 2 homes here. This is where search and rescue was. Okay. So when Daniel had, I asked Tint if you could ask Daniel about that home, because they had made mention multiple times of different things about this neighbor, right? And it was very confusing. Now, there was 2 of them circled. And then, so I said, okay, is it the one on this one, the one that got the yellow on it? And then Daniel said, I cannot confirm or deny. And anyways, but this is the home here, right there. So the one that I already had, but in saying that, then it was just confirmed was all. So
Daniel has gone on to say I've talked to a lot more people from the area, and you need probable cause for a search warrant. You can't just get one. Well, if they haven't got probable cause, then I'm not prepared to go with a theory that they were involved. I hope that the RCMP have looked into it, because they will have local knowledge about what is happening and what isn't happening in the area. They always have intelligence over and above what people's records demonstrate. And I'm not closing my mind to that idea, but there's nothing that points me in that direction.
In which direction, Beth?
In the direction of this neighbour. And if they didn't have probable cause to get a search warrant, then why are we saying that he's the theory?
To me, like, okay, we already know. Okay, we already know from a while back. Like, this guy, the dude's sketchy, right? Okay, but do you honest? This is kind of like when people thought Barry Morphew, who had 2 daughters, killed Libby and Abby in the Delphi case. I can't even think that someone that has 2 kids of his own is going to do something to these 2 children. Myself. It's not my particular line of thinking at all. In fact, I'm always flip-flopping on my line of thinking, to be honest with you. But if there's one thing in myself that I feel certain of, is that the 3 people that are on that property know something of what happened to Jack and Lily. And they're not coming clean, and they're not being truthful, because they're trying to cover something up. That is like the basis of my thoughts, just from everything that's been said. But I can't see, but okay, so this dude, right?
So he says he was forced out of another town with his brother for the amount of thefts they were committing.
Yes.
And from the few people I've now been in contact in the area, no one knows where bro is from the folks. Look, what's theft got to do with children being stolen?
Well, see, that's to me the
slightly
reason
different element of crime, slightly different level of crime. Petty thieves is one thing. Abductors is a whole nother. And I go back to what the RCMP have specifically said to us. There is no evidence that leads us to believe these children were abducted.
You know, and I still want to say one thing just quickly. I want everyone talking. I want the neighbors talking. I want everybody talking. You know, even if it's not true, the more the merrier. Keep talking, people. Like, seriously, keep talking. We want answers for Jack and Lily. But this person here, so yeah, I mean, this person here had, and thanks, Kent, by the way, because Kent originally led me to exactly here first. But, well, no, it was a combination of people, to be honest with you. And he does have, he's just a Google away, but I'm not going to say the name, right? Right. But yeah, I mean, chances are the reason, to me, at least in my own opinion at this moment, is that, of course, he's not going to let the police search the property. The guy is a thief. He probably has tons of shit that he stole on his property, if not drugs, perhaps as well. But we know for a fact that he's a thief.
So somebody put in chat, and I don't know where they got it from, that he let them search the property but not the house. Well, yeah, like you say, there's probably
who knows where
of stolen goods in there. So, you know, I can see why he might not. I
can't. If you put the combo together, though, Bev, right? He's got 2 kids. He's a thief, regardless. Those 2 things make sense to me. That he's not going to let them search the property, or at the time, perhaps, maybe later on. At the time, I mean, like I said, there's articles on this dude, okay? But he has 2 children. Trust, there's not going to. I'm sorry, but I know that.
I mean, that doesn't mean that he's not going to do it. Yeah, parents do sometimes do things to other children. I'm not suggesting that he hasn't or wouldn't.
You guys,
all I'm saying is that there's nothing that leads me to point in that direction.
Correct.
there is a lot to point me in the direction of the individuals on the property where Lily and Jack disappeared from.
Absolutely.
As being dishonest, regardless of whether they did something nefarious to the children. If I had Janie or Daniel, and I'd give it a damn good go with Malaya, I'm pretty sure I'd
You can't forget Malaya.
get
Malaya.
them pinned in a corner if I was cross-examining them.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Dishonest people. So when you've got children that have been abducted, why would the family go to such great lengths to say utter rubbish and constantly contradict themselves? Daniel's never been to RCMP and said, I think Malaya stole the children, as far as I'm aware. But he's quite happy to go out here on the YouTube streets and say it.
That's why Malaya said that. Right? That's why Malaya said, why is Daniel basically saying, attacking me, basically having everyone, what he's saying on YouTube versus what the statement that he gave to the police, right? So it's kind of like, oh, he did this, but then we know secretly Daniel said to Charmaine, but you know what? I think that the kids are alive, and Malaya had no part, but Cindy, Cindy's the one, and I'm looking into it and stuff like that. Oh, okay. So
and then he fed Aaron the whole rubbish that he spouted, which is of the same ilk. Now, that is not going to make it any more likely that the public can work towards finding children who are actually missing if all they did was walk away. Even if they were picked up by a stranger. That's not going to assist anybody. It's not going to assist the RCMP, and it won't assist the public. So he's not cooperating fully. What he's doing is playing the game.
That's right. To me, that's what he's doing. He's playing a freaking game. Even the dumbest criminals or dumbest people can freaking get away with shit. Happens all the time, for a while anyway. But again, that's if he has done something. It's just speculation. We don't know. But the thing that gets me is that we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. But who acts like this? Who literally lies and says that a blanket is planted? And who is it? Like, how do you go from, hey, Janie, right, Janie, because you were helping Dan, you were telling Daniel, don't overstuff that garbage bag with that pink blanket, Daniel, right? Because like I said, there's voice recordings of the 2 hours and 37 minutes of her voice. You guys know how freaking irritating that is? It's like listening to my grandma for 2.5 hours, freaking bitching all the time and stuff like that. But she's sitting there saying, oh yeah, I was there when Daniel placed that blanket. Now Malaya says that the blanket was that Daniel ripped the blanket, right? That they were using it for a door covering and Daniel had ripped the blanket, right? Now, obviously, there's the big piece, like I said, on the door. So Daniel knew damn well that blanket was Lily's blanket. Okay, Malaya said that her family didn't even didn't even know nothing about the blanket or whatever. But anyways, so Daniel knew damn well that blanket, that piece of that blanket matched that big piece of the blanket that he put, as Mama saw him, put it in the garbage can, right? And then
hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but
that's okay.
Can I just ask DT something?
Sure, absolutely. So, I'm going to quickly call my husband. Take it away for a sec.
You've said it's in the redacted. It's redacted because it's unfounded. Is that the information about Daniel talking about Malaya? Because if that's unfounded and they've demonstrated that it's unfounded, also, how do you know that's what it says if it's redacted? But if it's unfounded, that Malaya had anything to do with removing the children and hiding them. And there's no evidence of them in the woods. Then the two options left are something happened to them on the property, or they wandered out and were picked up by a stranger. So they're literally the only two things we're left with. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, that's just exactly it, right? And at what point? Because the whole point of the timeline of these children. Okay,
I've not seen the redacted. I've had conversations about the redacted. With who? With Daniel, the person who I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth because he can't say the same thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that involves,
yeah,
anything that involves going back to and relying upon the words of Daniel or Janie or Malaya, to me, bears no weight, because they literally can't seem to say the same thing twice in a row.
Belle, the whole timeline for when these children apparently were taken, according to Daniel, is a timeline that he's basically coming down from the trees at 10 o'clock. Basically, he thinks it's a little early. Okay, 9:45, right? So he's blaming Cindy. He's blaming Malaya's family. So tell me exactly when these children were taken by the family members or friends during this time, right? What's Daniel's narrative. That's what he's been pushing. That's why
I think DT is saying that that's been demonstrated as unfounded because it's in the redacted parts of the documents, but I don't know how you know that if it's redacted.
It would have to be unredacted.
Unless, because he later then says, because I've spoken to people about the redacted elements, if that's Daniel that you've spoken to, then I'm not going to believe it. So that doesn't help us. Unless you can physically see what the RCMP have redacted or spoken to somebody at the RCMP or in authority, then polygraphs are a polygraph. They're not admissible for a reason, and he was truthful in answering 4 questions, which were, if what he says the questions were is right, very badly worded.
He said he took 3 polygraphs, Daniel did. And that's not talking about the second round. Daniel said that when he was asking about a second round of polygraphs, by the way, what he put literally in his long freaking, speech there that day was that he basically asked them, and it's like that they didn't answer his question, and it's kind of like they changed the topic on him. He said that, so Daniel said that, but he said that he took 3 polygraph tests that day. So maybe he's talked to Daniel. Maybe Daniel has talked to Daniel about that, because that was
maybe after DT's live, I'll have a completely different view because I've seen more of what's in the documents. Exactly. I don't know.
I mean,
he's dishonest. I can say that categorically, because you cannot say 2 things that directly contradict each other within the space of a week on occasions and not be dishonest, because either you lied the first time or you lied the second time. So and if you're going to lie, if you are a dishonest person, then I'm not going to believe anything you say.
If you've shown to do it, multiple times. Yeah, absolutely.
About important things
About important.
in particular I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, you know, someone made a little white lie about, you know, oh yeah, you look lovely in that dress, love. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about 2 children that are missing. Statements that are made to the police and to the media about that scenario of missing children. This is the most important thing he's ever probably going to have to speak about. And he's directly contradicted himself over and over and over and over. And so if someone's going to do that about something this serious, then I'm not going to believe a word they say.
Yeah.
And that's just common sense. That's what we would say to somebody on the stand at a trial. Why would you expect that the court are going to believe anything that you say if you have been dishonest about the evidence in this matter?
I've given our Drunk Turkey Show. I mean, there's still quite a bit of stuff out there, but I had given him a lot of the stuff that I had, right, that I've shown on lives and stuff like that. Again, like Daniel, like you said, I think it's great that if people are talking, and even if we have a difference of opinion, there's still the bottom line here is Jack and Lily and answers. So if Daniel and Janie and neighbors and everyone wants to open up their mouths, you know, and stuff like that, come on, come on, family, let's find Jack and Lily.
Professionals having differences of opinion about something, it's good because it creates more discussion about it. So I'm not in any way having a go at DT.
Exactly.
I just don't. I've followed this like literally from the beginning and sat there and listened to Daniel says this, and then the next live I listened to, Daniel says something completely flipping different, and again and again and again. And I understand that he's just put the RCMP are not fans of Daniel, but there's nothing there. And I completely get that. If there was something there, they'd have arrested him.
Yeah.
Proving something like this, where you've got the main piece of evidence in a case like this is what? It's the children. Alive or dead. It's the children. And we haven't got that. So proving any kind of case about what happened is problematic, and it comes down to usually looking at like cell phone records and things. But we also know that they live in an area where there's not very many cameras. There's very patchy cell phone service, so they've all got to use Wi-Fi calling. So that'll mess up kind of the various GPS location elements of it, I would have thought. So it's going to be a real problem without finding the children, or somebody making a mistake in terms of going to a particular area or saying something that gives the RCMP a new angle to look at to prove what happened. And that's an awful feeling. And the idea of that being true, that we're not going to be able to demonstrate or piece together what happened to these 2 beautiful children,
It
upsets me and it infuriates me. But that doesn't mean that nothing nefarious happened to them. It just means we've not got the main bits of evidence. And they live in the backwoods. This would be a completely different story if they lived in a city centre, because they'd trace where they went for the couple of weeks before, camera by camera. They can't do that here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who live in that area won't speak out, even if they know something, because they go and live in that type of area for a reason, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Just quickly to interject here. Yes, of course he's watching. What else is the boy going to do? He doesn't have a job. Sits around social media all day. I know. Actually, that's true.
And he's got to learn what to do next, hasn't he?
And now just quickly, you guys. So yeah, so Daniel was going to do a live yesterday, and I'm glad he didn't because I was working anyway. So Daniel's going to be doing a live tonight. No, Janie's not going to be on there. He's going to be discussing. So again,
what time is it at? Do we know?
Shoot, Daniel, what time is your live tonight? Oh, hold on. I can probably look right here. Hold on. It's scheduled for 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. So that would be 8:05. So 12 for you, it's 12:05 at night.
Daniel, now come on. I live in the UK and I want to watch. Midnight is late.
Yeah. But
for old women.
One sec, Belinda.
You can't stay up past 9 o'clock normally.
I know.
I'm going to do my best to stay awake.
Okay. Right. You know, again, right? All of us have a bunch of different opinions about this case. Yeah. For us that have followed it from the start, a lot of us are very frustrated. We're angry about what we're watching unfold in this case. Again, to think that family members, but rightfully so, the first person that comes always to mind is Belinda, that has to literally watch this shit show and watch Daniel pop in and out, you know, and watch Malaya not come forward and stuff like that. These are her paternal grandbabies, okay? And she was seeing these children up until Malaya met Daniel. Cheryl, Malaya's friend, will tell you the same thing. Malaya said herself that Daniel told her that she needed to get rid of basically all her friends because they were a bad influence. Really, meth face? Who's the bad influence? Is it Malaya's friends or is it your ass, your controlling ass, Daniel? Regardless of what you say, multiple people, including Malaya, have said that you do meth, okay? So I don't know why you're just not owning up to it, probably because of the sake of Meadow case coming out. But
well,
really?
he said specifically to one of the news outlets, I've taken everything under the sun.
Yeah. I mean, there's clearly a picture with him holding a needle. No, my bad. He's not holding the needle. The part where he's doing something is out of the picture, but sitting. But bottom line is that one was 10 years ago. So how long have you been doing drugs, to be honest? But obviously, but who's the bad influence here? Malaya's friends, or is it you? The person that didn't want Belinda to come visit, the person that you're so jealous of, Cody, who has the insecurity issues, Daniel, who would be the controlling person. Look, I've spent a lifetime with those type of personalities and your controlling asses and stuff like that. There's a reason why she left there that next day. Now, what she did after that, I can't comprehend as a mother. But honestly, Daniel, you're no saint. You're not even close to it. But at the end of the day, you, Malaya, and the family members, excluding Belinda because she should be fighting for Jack and Lily. Who cares about if somebody said this or somebody said that? Why don't you actually do what most normal people would do? Is literally talking about them. Malaya never spoke about them in her interview. Okay, you barely have spoken about them in any of your interviews. You can always sit there and gloat about how great you are, that you almost impaled yourself and died, but the whole world won't know. And maybe you did do amazing things for whatever, for Jack and Lily and stuff like that, and even Malaya possibly. But something happened to those two babies. You haven't been telling the truth. You've been inconsistent. Malaya, and as again, all the actions that match this don't match two people that are telling the truth. That's how I feel about it. And it gets old. And correct, Daniel's only been following this case now for a few weeks. He's done, I know for a fact that he's been doing like a lot of looking into it. He's just that way. He's a great guy. If you're not subscribed to his channel, please do so. It is great to hear different opinions. I'm always willing to change my mind, but what I'm not willing to change my mind on is Daniel's and Malaya's actions. That I'm not willing to sit there and make any consensus to sitting there giving them any credit, because what they both have done is made Jack and Lily seem like a joke to them. And their fact is that Jack and Lily, again, are two beautiful children that are missing. And Belinda, like I said, and other family members have to sit there each day wondering for answers. What happened? So while all this bullshit is going on, some truth would be nice, okay? Like I said, truth, if you're telling the truth, there's some minor inconsistencies in the story and stuff like that, or things that you might remember. But when you're telling the truth, cases don't turn out like this when you're telling the truth. They just don't. It's when people are being lying or manipulative and stuff like that. Nobody sits there and goes, you know what? That blanket, it's not Lily's. It was planted. Oh, wait, my 2 t-shirts, you're right. Those weren't planted either. Now that I think about it, Malaya just wanted them so she can reminisce about the days of old of when I used to hold her down with her phone, or every time she was going to leave me. Yeah, that's why she definitely didn't take those 2 shirts that you said she did. She even said she did not take them. All she took was Meadow stuff and a few things. Malaya didn't even take any of her own stuff, right? She just left your ass. Now, why? Why did she just leave? What's going on? Where's the truth beyond this? Okay, preach it, Sonny. Go ahead. Anyways, Daniel shows tonight at 4:05 PST, 8 o'clock. That would be Nova Scotia time. Bev, 12:05 for you, sucker, on this one. But like I said, I'm looking forward to it. As long as my grocery is going to come between there too. But he has, like I said, documents, right? Not the actual physical paperwork, at least not last time, but like screen recording or whatever.
I've seen a lot more of the documents than we have, so it'll be interesting to see what he can enlighten us on about what they say.
And I also want to thank the person, because I myself too am tired of this. So there was a person that had told me that Daniel had shared out the screen recording with a couple people, right? Probably more, to be honest with you, than just a couple by now, because he wants to change the tide, right? He wants people to see him in a better light, but it's hard. How do you do that? How do you do that when you've led us for 4 months with all these inconsistencies and outright, like I said, you guys' stories can't even jive with each other and stuff like that. But so it will be. So thank you. What I want to say was thank you to that person that told me, because the person that told me said, look, Sonny, you know what? I'm really sick of all the bullshit of people that say, I can't do this or I can't do that. I am too, honestly. Inside, I'm really am too. Are we here to fight for Jack and Lily? Why is everyone, okay, you guys, all these people that go, don't use my name, don't say I said it, oh, I'm not, this is just between us all the time. I'm actually sick of it, to be honest with you. Because if the fight is for Jack and Lily, why wouldn't we just come together, right, and put out the information? But everyone's like that, right? So thank you to the person that actually told me about the actual recordings or whatever in the first place, because it just gets old, right? I can't tell this person, can't tell that. It's for Jack and Lily, I thought, right? I hate shit like that. I mean, I have to do it too, but I hate that shit. I just want the information out there for Jack and Lily, right? But this person's talking to this person, I mean, it's the same shit with our channel, same thing. There's people that you can't use their name, you can't say what they said, it's just private shit, and you're just like, So is this fighting for Jack and Lily, because we can't say this type of thing? But the masses that can understand this case, the more we can find what truly happened to Jack and Lily, or where they might be and stuff like that. So I hate game playing. I hate playing games. And I know we have to in a certain way, like, stuff like that, because you don't want to out your sources or this or that. But I really do hate it. I just want to let that be known. But thank you to that person, because who knows? Like I said, if Daniel wants to put that stuff out there, to make himself, be seen in a better light. Well, dude, you have, words are words on documents, regardless, right? So Daniel can say what he wants to the RCMP. Malaya can say what she wants, right? Does it make it truthful? Freaking no, absolutely not. At the end of the day, you know. But Daniel has an uphill battle to climb if he actually wants people to believe anything what he is saying is true, you know. And it's not that I don't still have a piece of me that always looks for that somewhere amongst his bullshit. You know, is it his own freaking ego? You know, is it the drugs that he was on and coming off? And, you know, is it his brain, you know, issues going on up there that can't remember that he said this and did this and said that? You know, or is it just out and outright BS? What is it? You know, I always still have an open mind for still wanting to believe that there is a plausibility of maybe a couple other things, but there's not much, right? Like, it's really hard to believe in a stranger abduction on this road that Janie even said didn't happen in the woods. So then what options really are there to it, right? Natasha Hayward story, kiss my butt. May 31st, you come out, 2 kids in frickin' some pigtails and frickin' strappies and stuff like that. May 31st is when you report this, you know. Okay, why did they even throw that? Well, I mean, I guess it was part of the stuff that came in, you know, like, meaning regardless, it was part of the file, right? But anyway, so that one can go out the window in my eyes. I don't even entertain that one. I did for 2 days. And then I was like, yeah, actually not even 2 days. It just realistically didn't happen. Meaning either she's wonked in the head herself, like a lot of people are, or it was a different day, a different incident, someone that's embellishing. People do the craziest shit in cases, by the way, right? They do the craziest shit.
Yeah, they do. And sometimes people just think they've seen something that they haven't, or they see something and put 2 and 2 together, and it's not actually what they saw. It's something completely different. You know, 2 kids who were going off to spend the day with their other parent or grandparent or something, and everybody knew where they were.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too much here.
I can hear pots rattling, so I think my tea might be ready.
Okay. Well, you know, I was gonna say, go ahead, say whatever your final thoughts are then, and then because I know you guys, Bev's in the United Kingdom. Again, she's a child protection lawyer. She was a defense lawyer. Now she's going to be a crown prosecutor, but she doesn't have to wear the silly head stuff, which is nice.
I think probably my final thoughts are this. I am not dead set in one direction or the other, and the more evidence I see, I'm happy for my view to always be changed.
Absolutely.
But why would people lie and make a mockery out of the media around members of their family being missing if they were truly innocent? And that is where my spidey senses are tingling. And until I see something that points me in a different direction, I'm not leaving that house. And I've been doing this a very long time. So I have been working as a lawyer since the late 90s. Without a significant gap in that time frame. And I've seen it all in terms of things that people can do to children, the criminal offences that people commit and how they avoid detection and how they get off if they don't avoid detection. And sometimes I was involved in that element of it. But I'm not looking at it from a criminal court point of view. I'm purely looking at it from a, where are these babies? They need to be found one way or the other. And if we can decipher anything that helps us to understand what happened from the documents and from the things that people say, then that's an important conversation to be having. Somebody who's a thief not letting RCMP search the house doesn't make me think that they did anything to the children. Have they got a motive? Have they got a reason why they'd do something to the children? Until I see something that points me in that direction, I'm not going to go there. But for me, it's just, let's see if we can work out what is the most likely thing that occurred. And also, can we keep Daniel talking enough that if he is going to make a mistake, he does it on camera or in a chat where the RCMP can see it and act on it.
I think they got a lot to work with already, to be honest, on that stuff.
Well, they've got plenty to work with in terms of demonstrating that he's telling lies, but nothing to say what happened.
Right.
That's the difficulty. And I know that there's people like Mike Damon who, you know, have come to very specific and clear conclusions about what they think has happened. But I think that there's been some leaps made in that, in terms of focusing in on words that people have used to be able to come to those conclusions. I'm not willing to make those jumps. I want to follow the actual evidence. There just isn't much actual evidence available to us.
JB, she told me about a week before she left, she made allegations while filing for custody. I'm not sure what that's about, JB. She told me about a week before she left. She made allegations. Oh, that was, I think, to do with Cody. And I think she's talking about that relationship on there. And that's, you know, what I've watched Daniel do from the beginning, right? Again, you know, me and Charmaine were, you know, pretty much 100% on, not 100%, but a good 90%, you know, believing in what Daniel was doing, watching what Malaya had done. But as the time has transpired, you know, again, all it is the person that cried wolf. Nobody sits there and claims that this isn't a blanket, especially, right, when their own mother watched you put it into the garbage bag and said, don't overstuff it, son. You know, the same mother that Reiki and all that stuff. But anyways, so you clearly knew that was the blanket. How did it get up in the tree? You know, what's your next story? I don't know. But the thing with Daniel is that what I'm mad mostly with Daniel about isn't the fact of if he did something and him or Malaya are covering up something, or even Janie on the property, if there's cover up, okay? But what probably pisses me off the most, besides the fact, of course, Jack and Lily missing, is the fact of how they've went about this. It's inconsistent. It's a bunch of BS. He's like a little freaking pop-a-lot that pops in and out of chats. He uses people, tries to use people to his advantage, but it's not about Jack and Lily. It's just trying to direct the attention off of him, you know, and all that stuff. Who gives a shit, right? But Daniel, you shouldn't even give a shit, but you lied about the blanket. As clear as day, you lied. Okay, there is no two blankets. There was a pink blanket that was a different pink blanket that was in the window. But this blanket was the one that his mama saw him put into the thing that Malaya said they ripped a piece of it, that Daniel ripped a piece. Okay, you honestly think
Malaya said she put in the bin.
No, she didn't say she put it in the bin.
She said she put it in the garbage. In the RCMP documents.
No, not unless it's on a different article. She didn't say, because I have
on
that.
One of the 6, it does say it.
Like she says that she took it down. maybe I'd have to go back to it, but we're okay. So regardless, bottom line is about the fact of him knowing that this was the blanket. Do you honestly believe? Because Daniel was told a lot of different things and speculate. Well, you can call it speculation, but he is very clear that someone that went from Cindy to Cindy's friends, then Darren inserted his butt in all this. Then they started changing the narrative of where Malaya was and all this stuff. And then it became just a shit show. But hey, it brought some people out of the woodwork because of the shit show, right? And all that stuff. And then next thing you know, now he is. And then, I have those messages, right? That even someone sent me, because even though I had some of them anyway, but someone sent me them again saying, Daniel's like, well, who do you think has the kids type of idea? Who do you think put the blanket there? Who do you think? Because his whole line of thought is that Malaya's family, someone in Malaya's vicinity has taken these kids and hidden them. And that's what he believes, right? Out of this whole thing. Because why? Again, if you're telling the truth, you're just deflecting then to me. You're trying to deflect it elsewhere. So why didn't you tell the RCMP this then? Are those in the documents? Because I don't think so. Because Malaya said that the statements that you guys gave to the RCMP was not about anything about Malaya has these children to them. So in saying that, so why did all of a sudden you say this and then turn around and try to deflect it back onto Malaya? Usually when people deflect, it's because they have their own guilty knowledge of what truly happened themselves or did something themselves to try to misdirect. And that's all I've seen. So whether Daniel is just the biggest idiot in this entire world of, people that literally have a few, sorry, I will say that, but obviously he has no brain cells very much. If he thinks that he can sit there and go around telling all these different inconsistencies and stuff like that, and then think that, oh yeah, okay, so let's just forgive Daniel again for this lie, this, Malaya too. But Daniel, because he's put himself in the forefront. But anyways, it's just not happening. So there's an uphill battle for Daniel to do any reputation damage repair to yourself. You're never going to get that from me, because you've already, as for the fact of who's guilty or something like that, that's different. But as for who you are as a person, there's no respecting a liar. There's no respecting somebody that sits there and has their girlfriend basically get rid of their friends because they're bad influences. And look, that's the pot calling the kettle hugely black, and stuff like that. But anyways, we'll see how it all plays out. I'm always interested to hear every detail. That's all I look for, is every detail that can lead to Jack and Lily and the truthful answers. That's it. Right?
Every detail, and anybody who's got any kind of analytical mind, the way that they've processed the information, because that obviously sometimes you have blind spots in your own
absolutely
thought processes, that when you hear someone else explain it in a different way, you think actually that makes sense. So I'm always open to other people's ideas. What I'm probably never going to change my mind about is that Daniel lies, because you can't.
Well, he lies about not doing drugs, or he did. Meaning maybe he's not now, but he clearly lied about that, and he still holds to that, right? But yet we already know it. So why do you keep lying about it? Shit.
You can't undo what you've already said, and it involves lies, and some lies that you've actually admitted to. So,
yeah. Anyways, you guys. So, again, I'm on 62 this week, so I can do more lives and stuff like that. So it's been a slice. Honestly, I always, the frustrations are building up inside with this case, and I probably sound like Janie. Danger, you did it. Come on now, give us the truth. But anyway. It's
making me very frustrated, and I think it's making a lot of people very frustrated that we're not getting any closer. It feels like we're not getting any closer to answers
yet,
and it just feels like there's lots of smoke and mirrors and diversion tactics and all of those things, and it's winding me up. But what about people like Belinda, who this is her grandchildren? and she's having to go through this process.
That hurts my heart to no end.
Belinda, before you lose reception, have a wonderful break.
Yeah.
As best as you can anyway, in the circumstances. Try and get some rest and kind of get the thoughts out of your mind a little bit.
I'm sure just that internally a lot of family members, even though I wish that they would speak up. So family members, if you're out there, fight for Jack and Lily. Speak up, become a voice for Jack and Lily. They need answers. They deserve it. Okay? Put yourselves aside and just speak up for Jack and Lily. That's what they need. They need the voices from the family members that truly want to have answers, and not from the people that don't seem to want to know the answers. But in saying that, yeah, it's been great. Bev, of course, you know, yes, the frustration is real. Belinda, you need some relaxation a little bit because this case is still going to be there when you get back, sadly enough. You know, so enjoy that time. But imagine 4 months. Like I said, imagine if this is your family member, your Bev, your child, and literally you wake up to this the biggest hole in your heart.
I don't think unless you've experienced something like it, you can even remotely begin to imagine it. I just literally, I can't. I've sat there and tried to think about it, and
I know.
My brain blocks me as soon as I start to try and put myself in that position. Just as a storyline in my head, my brain goes, no, forget it.
That's exactly what I do too. Of course, thinking about Jack and Lily, first of all, of course, pains me deeply. Thinking about how a person, Belinda, deals with this every single day, or family members that just literally wake up to this. It's, again, I think about it and then I literally have to close it off as well, because it's just truly too painful for my heart to accept that these type of situations exist and that people do harm to their children and stuff like that, like the Emmanuel Haro case. It's just beyond words and repair to even think about if this was my son and that my son was out there. That's why I don't care. I make no qualms for Malaya. I'm sorry. You get your ass in front of the public. Quit making excuses. These are your children. Okay. Stop being, what do you want to say? You know what? Stop being a hermit, Malaya. Get your ass out and sit there and talk about your children. Sorry. Right. But right now they're so focused on Meadow.
And you don't have to talk about what's happened. Literally, all you need to do is talk about them as children and say, please help me find them. That's it. All people expect.
Okay, you guys. So Bev, thank you so much for coming on, you guys. Thank you
guys. Thank you for having me.
No, I love
it. As always, and thank you, PT, for your little bit of sparring.
Yeah.
Debate going on.
Yeah. I love those. Like, seriously, I do love those. Like, you know, it's like
that's why I'm a lawyer, because I enjoy doing it.
But yeah, no, I mean, right, to watch an ex-cop and a lawyer kind of like, you know, because obviously, like, you see it, like he's seeing it a certain way at the moment, right? Now, again, all we can take is the information, but we can't determine how somebody else thinks about something. But I just, like I said, I like to take in every ounce of the information that I know. And I'm sure there's things that I have no clue about that I've missed, haven't seen, you know, and stuff like that. I'm sure that there definitely is. But for the most part, I can say I'm 95% got the information and tons of it. And I just can't for the life of me make sense out of none of it, per se.
Nope.
Besides the home, besides being on that property, I can't make sense out of truly what happened to Lily and Jack, which I'm very open to. Well, I'm open to it to a reason. I think that there's definitely people that are saying things that are just ridiculous of what could have happened, because we always have to think about DNA, you know, things that don't make sense, stuff like that, you know. Is that like, I can't remember. Oh, I know that somebody said, actually, I didn't remember who said this, but they posed the question, like, could a bear have put that blanket in a tree? Well, I'm sure that the garbage bag then would have had bear attack marks on it, and they would have known that, right? Let alone some bear footprints leading up to that darn ass tree or something like that. So no, I mean, a bear would have ravaged open that bag. I'm sure they're more than just hiking down.
And knocked the wrench off the top of the door, remember?
Yeah, I
on
know.
his way to the bag.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, okay. So Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show is doing his live in about less than 2 hours, you guys. So don't forget, check that out. Bev, let's see here. Her YouTube channel is
Crime Courtroom Confidential.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to click on it. There's the link right there, the Crime Courtroom Confidential. And then there was Adventures Underwater UK. I would definitely recommend checking out his channel too. He's done a really great job of putting out videos where Darren's talking and stuff like that. Yeah, like you said, when you want to just kind of sometimes go to those specific things, kind of like Hunter S. True Crime, right? When you want to just go to all the different interviews.
It's someone else has taken the time to pull those bits of conversations out, and you can just focus straight in on it.
Yep, absolutely
useful.
Okay, guys. So, anyways, I'm not sure when I'll see you next. I might come back again tonight. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But either way, Bev, feel better. Heal up soon. Go have and enjoy your tea. Okay, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Okay, I gotta find a video to play. Video file. Oh, I haven't played a video in about a week here. I'm just going to play this little piece, one to the new. Remember, get your rocks and whatever sent to me at crimingshame@gmail.com. Isn't this a beautiful song, too? They're both are.
In the woods where shadows lay, Jack and Lily went to play. On a rainy May afternoon, now we whisper hope's soft tune. Echoes of laughter fill the air, but where are they? We stand in prayer. Oh, Jack and Lily, where have you gone? We'll hold on tight through this endless dawn. In our hearts forever you'll stay. With every prayer we send your way.
Have a good one, guys.